covered. It was when it really bad. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I did everything I was supposed to do or not. This is raining really bad, storming really bad, thunder and lightning really bad. I've got seed on my trailer. The damn nurse tank wouldn't crank this time for some reason, so I couldn't finish filling it, which I wouldn't have got it planted anyways, but that halted everything for the day, which really sucks. Really, really sucks. But try to get them on, I guess. Alright guys, so we are back in the tractor. Got our water tank and our new seed. Some of the seed got wet yesterday. As you can see, it was raining. It actually ended up hailing on me. It was a terrible lightning storm all around me. It's a pretty bad deal. I would have kept planting, but I couldn't keep planting. But everything else, I mean, other than getting a couple of bags wet, I covered them up as best I could with what I had. And I think they're all okay. They didn't get too wet, but it damn sure come down to rain. It's still pretty wet, which is good. We needed the rain. I just wish it could have came after I got done planting for the day, or at least got all my seed in my hoppers. Because see, the only thing that messed up was I had my seed on that trailer and not in the hoppers, because the hoppers are already full, so I couldn't put the rest of it in there. So it was just kind of a mess yesterday. So that messed me up yesterday. I'm gonna try to get more than 20 planted today. I've got everything straightened out and ready to go now, so we can pretty much just get ready and start planting. So. There's a lot of deer out here at this guy's place, but I finally got the chemical tanks to be about even. We were trying to do 15 acres to a tank, but it looks like we're not going to be able to get it to about 10 acres to a tank. So it is what it is. We'll just reduce our mixture on the chemicals and fertilizer and stuff to match that on this next fill up on chemicals. I'm doing a 6-row planter, so I can only do about 4 acres a fill up on the seed. With corn, you can do a lot more. You can plant a lot more, but fill up a lot less, because corn is about this big. Peanuts about that big. So it's double, in some cases maybe triple the size of a corn kernel. So you can't plant nearly as much on one bag of seed as you can with corn, which sucks because you got to go back and fill up all the time. And with a 6-row planter like this, it only holds 2 bags, 100 pounds of hopper. You can't plant much before you got to fill up. So, but that's what we're working with. So this tractor's weird. You have to put your cables to the battery all the way underneath, so you can actually power your diesel pump. On the older tractors, it's always been right beside the battery and everything. The battery terminals have always been right beside the diesel tank, so that you could easily fill it up like this. But I guess if they've gotten newer tractors, they've changed the way they do things. So. But yeah, fixing to plant some more peanuts, trying to get this done in 2 days, but with it just being me, I don't know that I'll be able to do that, because I have to go fill up with water in the nurse tank and then go back and get more seed on the trailer. And I had to get the diesel tank and fill up because I forgot to fill it up yesterday when I brought it out here. So it's gonna be a long process to get 75-80 acres planted in 2 days, but maybe we can do it. These sight glasses here with the yellow stuff, this is our herbicide mixture. So this is this tank here. This is our in-furrow tank, and these are different color. They're more of a white, so you can see the little red balls there, and those come up to about the E level, and they come up to about the 5 level, and they're spinning like this in a circle. And as long as all 6 of them are about at the same level and they're all spinning and floating, basically, that tells me that my in-furrow nozzles are all working properly. If one of them drops all the way down or goes way high, that means there's been an issue, because the in-furrow nozzles are underneath, and even if your pressure is correct, if one of them is not spraying out, it may be compensating by going out a different one, or if one of them's putting out too much pressure, not enough. The only way to truly know that is by your sight glasses with the little balls in there spinning. Otherwise, you don't really know if it's working or not. So we're gonna see if this is about full. you have 3 different screens we're dealing with, and then on top of that we have this section here, which has my RPMs and my miles per hour, and my diesel gauge and temperature gauge. Has a couple things on here, but this isn't. It looks weird on the camera because it's pretty much rendering light at the same frame rate that this camera is recording at. But you can adjust different layouts just like you would a computer screen. You can go in here and make adjustments to everything. I can hit buttons. There's all these different buttons here which have different things that connect for the most part to this, but there's obviously like four-wheel drive and some lights and stuff on here too. But like if I hit this one here, which is our hydraulic switches here, if I hit this, it's gonna pop up the 3 different switches. So number 1 is our herbicide tank, and what that is controlling is controlling the hydraulic pump, which is down underneath the tank, which is controlling the pressure and the flow that we're putting out of the fertilizer tank. So I can literally go in and make adjustments to this. I just hit this, and then it's at 0.44. I don't exactly know what that refers to, but it's at 0.44. We're not going to mess with that. Number 2 in the C there, by the way, that means that's your constant. So that's keeping a constant rate. You can have that adjusted to where it's every so often. So as you see, number 3 has 10 seconds. We're not messing with number 3 today, so that doesn't matter. Or number 2 is our vacuum. So the vacuum is also ran with a hydraulic motor, so it needs hydraulics as well. And that's obviously set at a certain number. I think it's like 3 or something like that. Again, I don't know what that 3 means, and it's also constant. So when I flick on that, which is number 2, so it refers to number 2 number, it's blue, number 2, and it's blue. When I click that on, that is going to turn on our vacuum, so that, and we can adjust the vacuum pressure. We can adjust the vacuum pressure right here with this, if I were to click over there. This here is our GPS. I talked about this in a previous video, but I'm going to kind of show you right now. So what we have it set like we want it. This is the tractor, 6210R. The implement, we have it set as a ripper bedder, but a ripper bedder is a 6-row implement as well, and it also is 15 feet, which is exactly the same as our 6-row planter, which is 15 feet, same spacing and everything. So that's okay. So we hit okay here. We'll go in, and now we have our layout. So we have the client. This is just, okay, we're in what we call juniors, the farm, which is Clays, which is this field. It says field 1, but it's the same. Clays and the field 1 is the same. Then we're in Peanuts 22, which is our new event, which is the event we started today. And we just hit okay again here. Now we're going to get, it's going to say, we use 15, and then, so this is our layout. So what this yellow highlight here, that's where I've actually planted. So when I drop the planter down, which is down now, I'm fixing to pick it up. So whenever I pick the planter up, it doesn't highlight anything, but when I drop that planter back down, it will turn on what they call the paint mode, which will start painting a line, and it'll also start recording our event, our acreage. So right now we've planted 7.5 acres. I just got back on the tractor, and our total session coverage right now is 0 because I just opened the program back up. And yeah, this button right here will turn on your autopilot. This up here tells you how far you are off the center line, and here you can adjust your trim. Now for this particular case, we don't have to do that because we're not planning on beds. We're planning where beds were at, where the subsoil shank was actually doing what it was supposed to do. So that's pretty much everything we're using. And then of course our seed counter here. So it's counting. So it's just like a radio scanner that constantly scans every channel. It's going to keep doing that until it gets a reading on something. And then it'll keep moving through each one to tell me exactly how much seed I'm putting out at a constant rate, like constantly. And we're trying to put 150 pounds to the acre. So that's about 90,000 seed to the acre. So yeah, that's all the 3 different screens I'm messing with. And of course I'm watching my pressure gauges in the back. I'm watching my vacuum in the back. And I am fixing a plant. fixing to get after it. No chance of rain today. It's gonna be a little cloudy, not gonna be quite as hot. Alright guys, so we are planting, our seed population is running between 88 and 95, which is good. That's a good average. That's putting us out about 150 pounds to the acre. That's what we're looking for. Our chemical tanks are pretty much dead even. We finally got that, I finally got that figured out. I have filled up the seed, but I've got to go fill up the chemicals and the seed again pretty soon because, like I said, every 4 acres I had to fill up my seed hoppers, and every 10 acres I had to fill up my chemical tanks. There's not much fertilizer going in, unlike corn, because peanuts are a legume. They're a nitrogen fixing plant. They make their own nitrogen, so they don't require nearly as much fertilizer as corn does, especially nitrogen, obviously. But they're a good rotation because peanuts make nitrogen, corn needs a lot of nitrogen. So, and if you're wondering, there's a lot in this field out here. There's a lot of it looks like something out there, dead grass. It's dead rye, and what it is we're planting through dead rye. So we came out here and we killed the rye off, and now we're going to plant through that. And what that did is that did a couple things. Number one, it helps retain moisture. Obviously the cover crop before it was dead, and even when it was dead, actually the root system still left there is protecting the topsoil, so wind erosion cannot affect that. And before the peanut plant comes up and gets big enough to also help, that dead rye will help prevent wind erosion, and it'll help retain moisture. And it also kind of provides, a canopy for any weeds to grow. It helps a little bit with fighting against weeds, because they're having to compete with that what rye was there. I'm fixing to turn around. That beeping you hear, that beeping is the population counter. Every time you pick the planter up, the population counter doesn't know you picked the planter up. So it's telling you, hey man, there's no seed coming through our lasers, through our counter, just letting you know, hey, you got a problem, but in reality, you just picked the planter up. So that's why it makes that weird beeping noise, and I hit this thing dead on the money, by the way. So we can actually just go straight into our neck. So I'm gonna drop the planter down, I'm gonna throw our seed, or turn on our pump to let the fertilizer and the chemicals out. You'll see me look back a lot, and what I'm doing is I'm making sure that our gauges are showing up the numbers correctly. I'm making sure that our sight glasses are showing that we have constant good flow through all of our spray nozzles. Making sure that our tanks are dropping as evenly as we can get them to be, and I'm making sure that our seed's dropping down. I do look at my numbers and my monitors also to make sure that everything's correct there. But it's good to have your eyes directly on the product, because if you can see it coming out, then you know what's happening. And the in-furrow tanks, like I said earlier, you can't see those coming out because they're underneath. So you really don't know except for your gauges that it is working. So I have my sight glasses that you probably can't see on camera, but I can, that are telling me, hey, all the balls are spinning, they're all floating up and spinning about the same level, which means everything's flowing out at each nozzle at the same amount of pressure, which is really nice. So every once in a while you want to get out and check and make sure that your planter is putting out enough seed per foot, and it's also putting out at the right depth. So we're going to go look at some stuff from yesterday, because ants have already made mounds. Within less than a day, the ants have already made mounds where I planted yesterday, which is crazy. So what we're looking for, so this is where it was planted here. So we're going to dig all this up. Alright, so there's a seed right there. Yeah, so that's a seed, and there's two right there actually. That's kind of, there's another seed. I scraped the, so that's a peanut seed. And we're wanting it to be about 2 inches from the top of the soil, 2 inches in depth. So you figure, your topsoil is here. So you do that. It's about that far, which is a farm or 2 inches, I guess. So everything's looking good. We got about 2 inches of depth, and our seed per foot looks decent. It is doubling up some of the seed, which is not great, but overall it looks pretty good. That's what we've been planting today so far. The ground has got a great amount of moisture in it now. Yesterday it was getting dry,